That afternoon, when I was resting, Ranga came to my house with a couple of oranges in his hand. A generous, considerate fellow. It would be a fine thing to have him marry, settle down, and be of service to society. I thought for a while. We talked about this and that. Then I came to the point. Rangappa, when do you plan to get married? I'm not going to get married now, he said. Why not? I need to find the right girl. I know an officer who got married only 6 months ago. He is about 30 and his wife is 25, I am told. They will be able to talk lovingly to each other. Let's say I married a very young girl. She may take my words spoken in love as words spoken in anger. Recently, a troupe in Bangalore staged the play Shakuntala. There is no question of Dushyant falling in love with Shakuntala if she were young, like the present day brides, is there? What would have happened to Kalidas' play? If one gets married, it should be to a girl who is mature. Otherwise, one should remain a bachelor. That's why I am not marrying now. Now, that afternoon, what happened? Ranga visited the authors with a few oranges, which the narrator thought was quite thoughtful to him. Thinking too how nice Ranga is, the author thought it would be good deed to have him married to a girl just as nice as him. So he chatted for a while and then the narrator asked Ranga about his views on getting married. Ranga expresses that he doesn't intend to marrying now because he intends to finding the right girl. The cites the example of an officer who got married at the age of 30 to a woman aged 25. Now, since these are both adults, they would understand each other's action and behavior. Whereas, suppose the narrator finds a girl who is very young, she could misunderstand his words or action because she is not mature enough. He even mentions the love story of Shakuntala and Dushyant from Mahabharata also, and that he would not have fallen in love with Shakuntala if she were too young. Is that in that case Kalidas' play also would not have existed. That is why he intends to staying a bachelor till he finds the right girl. Is there any other reason a man should marry a girl he admires? What we have now are arranged marriages. How can one admire a girl with milk stains on one side of her face and wetness on the other, all so young that she doesn't even know how to bite her fingers on a name fruit, the other a bitter god? Exactly, Ranga said, laughing. I was distressed that the boy who I thought would make a good husband had decided to remain a bachelor. After chatting for a little longer, Ranga left. I made up my mind right then that I would get him married. Rama Rao's niece, a pretty girl of 11, had come to stay with him. She was from a big town, so she knew how to play the veena and the harmonium. She also had a sweet voice. Both her parents had died and her uncle had brought her home. Ranga was just the boy for her and she the most suitable bride for her. Now here the narrator introduces us to a new character of the story, and the new character is named as Ratna. She is only 11 years old and Rama Rao's niece. And she had lost both her parents, so her uncle brought her from the big town to his home. She had a great voice and could play harmonium and veena also. The narrator thought that Ranga and Ratna would make a great pair. Since I was frequent visitor of Rama Rao's place, the girl was quite free with me. I completely forget to mention her name, Ratna. It was. The very next morning, I went to their house and told Rama Rao's wife, I will send some buttermilk for you. Ask Ratna to fetch it. Ratna came. It was a Friday, so she was wearing a grand sari. I told her to sit in my room and requested her to sing a song. I sent for Ranga. While she was singing the song, Krishna Murthaya in front of my eyes, Ranga reached the door. He stopped at the threshold. He did not want the singing to stop, but was curious to see the singer. Carefully he peeped in. The light coming into the room was blocked. Ratna looked up and seeing a stranger there, abrupt stopped. Now Ratna was quite familiar with the narrator and as she visited Rama's place frequently. So the narrator thought of a plan to introduce Ratna to Ranga. So he asked Rama to send Ratna to his place as he wanted to send him buttermilk for him. She came all dressed up. The narrator insisted upon her to sing a song while he sent someone to call Ranga. Just as she was singing, Ranga arrived at the door and her voice touched his ears, and so he did not want to interrupt the singing, so he stood at the door. He was curious to see the singer and very cautiously he tried to have a look which disturbed the lightning in the room. On seeing a stranger, Ratna immediately stopped her singing. Suppose you buy the best quality mango. You eat it slowly, serving its peel before biting it to the juicy flesh. You do not want to waste any part of it. Before you take another bite, the fruit slips out of your hand and falls on the ground. How do you feel? Ranga's face showed the same disappointment when the singing stopped. You sent for me, he asked as he came in and sat on a chair. Ratna stood at a distance, her head lowered. Ranga repeated, glanced at her. Once her eyes met and he looked very embarrassed. No one spoke for a long while. Now the narrator compares Ranga's situation to the disappointment of dropping a best quality mango on the floor just before having the truly enjoy it. It was as if something great had been stolen before one could fully enjoy it. Ranga asked the narrator why he called for him. Ratna was shy and she looked downward whereas Ranga glanced at her. So there was an awkward silence in the room. It was my coming in that stopped the singing. Let me leave. Words mere words. The fellow said he would leave out, did not make a move. How